So I've had my electric Ryobi weed whacker, line trimmer, whatever you want to call it, for quite a few months now, and I've whacked a lot of weeds. And you know what? I really, really enjoy it. I will say there is one thing about it that I have a criticism on, and I'll get to that at the end. But today when I was weed whacking, I ran out of line. And so I've got to put some line in here, and I want to take you along with me so you can see how easy this version is. As you can see, this is the Ryobi, or the RY15529 VNM. They don't sponsor this. I do this for you. Okay guys, I have this thing turned on my workbench, kind of upside down on my vise. Kind of like to lock it in there so it doesn't get all rocky, wavy. But let me tell you, after years of using a Craftsman, it was a gas-powered one, it worked until it didn't. And then you're struggling with gas power. This is an electric one, and it's made by Ryobi. I don't think I'll ever go back to gas, because I don't have to worry about gas, I don't have to worry about spark plugs, I don't have to worry about clearing the thing out every winter time, you know, clearing out the gas tank, putting in fresh gas, all that kind of. I don't have to worry about it. I just got to make sure my batteries are charged. And when it comes to putting line in your line trimmer, nothing was more frustrating than the Craftsman, although I got very, very good at it. And there's two holes down in there. I'm going to grab my trimmer line, shove it down in there. I just kind of start winding it and keeping one line on one side, one line on the other, and I just kind of keep going. This, you can be a complete knucklehead.
And I'm a knucklehead.
All you got to do is line up the arrows. There's a hole right here. You take your line, you slide it through, and look at that. It comes through the other side, just like that. And then you pull it. You'll keep pulling until you take your two ends, you know, you put your two ends together so that they're even. You pull it nice and taut, and then you've got something that looks like this. Okay, now what do? Well, Ryobi sends you home with one of these little cranky things. Now I think you could just do this by hand, but if you have a cranky thing, why do it by hand? This makes it so much easier. Pop that baby on there. Bada bing, bada boom. Your line is now installed. Pretty doggone simple. Yeah, and I think you can just crank it with your hands. So you can get it just where you want it. Got a blade right here. It'll automatically cut to that length. So if you're a little on the long side, it'll cut. This is the cutting edge. It's really not that sharp. You don't have to worry about hurting yourself, but it does whack the line to the right length. And bada boom, bada bing, you're ready to whack weeds. And it really is that simple. No more struggling with trying to feed the line into the hub and turn the thing and wrap it around the hub and then feed it through the little hole. The only tough thing, and it's really not that tough, after you line up the arrows, you can look through and you can see daylight all the way through. You just take your line, and as long as it's nice and straight, you just feed it in and it comes out the other end. You crank it down with your crank, ready to go. Now, if you want to, you can take this hub off and try to thread that thing through all of that if you want to go through that trouble. You line up these things, you give this a twist and it pops off. But that's actually for putting on different attachments onto this particular part. I wouldn't recommend doing that if you're just changing the line, and I'll tell you why in a future episode.
And I'm a knucklehead.
Now earlier I told you I'd tell you the one drawback to this thing that I really wish I had a workaround, and I guess I kind of do. This particular Ryobi, because I can't account for all the others, it actually, when you're looking at it from an operation standpoint, it goes in the counterclockwise direction. Counterclockwise, which is fine. It doesn't impede the ability for it to whack weeds. The problem really is I'm right-handed. And so if I'm holding it like a right-hander, that is, my left hand is holding onto the grip and my right hand is holding on to the trigger side, I tell you, I hit rocks with this thing, or I hit, hard debris. Because it's turning this way, it throws everything right into my body instead of away from my body. Now the Craftsman, it spun this way. And as a result of that, holding it right-handed, it threw it away from me, not towards me. So the only workaround I really have is to hold it with my left hand, hold it just the opposite way. And I just don't have the maneuverability. I'm right-handed. I'm not that smart to be left-handed. You left-handers, you're lucky. You're not going to get whacked with rocks with this thing.
And I'm a knucklehead.
Now you might say, well, maybe you just have the guard adjusted wrong. No, it's only on there in one position. You can't really move the thing around at all. It's the position they give you. And it does a fine job of protecting your ankles. But it's this open area right here that, frankly, my shoulder and this side of my head is in direct line, as you can see, of getting whacked with a rock. All right, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for joining me. If you've got one of these or some of the other Ryobis that have this ratchet thing, you already know how great it is. If you don't, you may want to dump your gas-powered thing. Get a Ryobi like this that just makes winding line so much easier. You don't have to worry about gas, oil, spark plugs, any of that kind of stuff. Just make sure your batteries are charged. And you could weed whack all day. I do.
How long have you been whacking?
I could whack for an hour. I know that sounds funny. But I could more than that. This thing is very efficient. It does my whole yard. I can weed whack around the trees and around the fence and all that kind of thing. My entire yard, no problem. No problem at all. And I still have enough power left over to use the leaf blower. Yeah, the leaf blower and the weed whacker came as a kit. I'll leave a link below. Use one of my links. It helps me out. I do appreciate it. I buy these things all with my own money. And I just bring the tips to you because, well, I like you guys. Thank you very much. And thank you for supporting my channel however you can. Click the subscribe button, do all that kind of stuff. It helps out a lot. All right, I'll see you on the next one.